Hello everyone, my name is Michelle, and this is my top 10 personal tips and tricks for you rafters out there. Let's go ahead and get started. Number 1. Floating floors. No pillar supports needed. In Raft, you need to have either a pillar or a wall every 2 floor tiles that snaps to the foundation in order for you to build a flat roof above. However, those pillars can be kind of annoying, especially if you have a lot of them on your raft like I do, and you might not want them there. There is a way to actually build without supports, and here's how. For this demonstration, I will be using a 3x3 box. Now that I've placed down all my walls and my door, I am going to start on the roof. You will notice that I have a green floor tile that is highlighted in the area before placing down the roof piece. This means that I have the necessary support in order to build in that given area. But you will notice that I do not have the support to build in the middle. I am 2 floor tiles out, which means that I need to have support that snaps to the foundation. Let me show you what I mean. For this, I'll place down a regular wall here, and then I'm going to place a flat roof above. Now, let's go ahead and delete this wall here, and you will notice that when I do delete this, that the ceiling above is going to collapse and disappear. That's because there's no support there. So let's go ahead and fix this now and put down a regular wall, but here's how you fix it. Put down 2 triangle flat roofs above, and then go ahead and delete your wall, and you will notice that it stays there. And this is how you fix it. You have to put down a triangle floor, snap to the wall support, and once you have done that, you can delete the supporting wall and it will stay there. Here, I'm just showing you the possibilities that you can have using this method. Again, start with a regular wall and put down your 2 triangle floors to make a regular square. And for the rest of the floors, just use the regular squares, then delete the wall that is in the middle as the support, and you will notice that you have a floating floor here. This is a really good way to make big open rooms without pillars. Now, if you were to delete the 2 triangle floors that were originally connected to the wall that was the support, then you will notice that the whole ceiling falls and breaks. Using this method can really help your raft design out, and depending on how big you build, this could help with also creating less structures on your raft for the game to render in. Here's another method that I found with creating supports. If you actually put down 4 walls, yes, I know that this is very costly in wood, but if you put down 4 walls and then the triangles in the dead center of that 1x1, and then spam the regular floor tiles all around that, then delete the 4 that are in the middle, it creates a bigger surface floor area above that you're working with. Number 2, maximizing honeycomb production using beehives. Let's talk beehives here. You need them in order to create honeycomb that you can use to turn into honey for biofuel or to use in the recipe for the healing salves. Honeycomb is incredibly useful, and depending on how big your raft is, you might need a lot of it. Each beehive can produce a maximum of 3 honeycomb per harvest, but in order for you to get the 3 honeycomb off of the harvest, you will need 12 flowers in very close proximity to the beehives. They can be planted in shoes, or the small crop plots, or even the medium ones, but the small crop plot is the best option. It takes 8 minutes in real time for you to get your honeycomb once the flowers are planted in the proximity of the beehives. On the Raft wiki, it shows this layout that you are currently seeing as one of the best ways to get 10 beehives to work off of only 4 flower plots. I actually found a way to get 12 beehives to work off of this exact same setup, and I will show you my design in just a moment, but I want to mention this. I want to take a moment to point out that the purpose of this setup is that you are only using the necessary amount of flowers to yield the most amount of honeycomb out of the beehives. I even actually found a way to get 16 beehives to produce their maximum number of honeycomb, but it wasn't the best in terms of space efficiency. What you are looking at here is how I set up my beehives on my raft. Keep in mind that without clipping your beehives together using the unconventional building tactics, this is one of the only ways you can get 12 beehives to work off of 4 flower plots. Start by building a 4x3 box, and make sure that you build a small door frame on one of the sides. It doesn't matter where, just as long as you have one. Next, I am going to put a half wall in the dead center here, and for this I will be using the floating floor technique that I showed you earlier. I will then put 2 triangle floors connected to that half wall in the dead center. And then from there, I'm going to put the regular square floors surrounding that all the way until I fill it in. Now, remember that in Raft, left control is actually your crouch in this game, and you can actually walk under a half wall height, so remember that. After placing down all of my floors, I will then delete that half wall below by crouching and going underneath. Next, grab any color of paint and paint the 2 squares in the dead center on the top. We are going to place our 4 crop plots on the black squares, but it is important that you place them down in an exact spot. So for this, I will be erasing one of the triangle floors to help me see this a little bit better. You must place the crop plots down exactly how you see mine in order for this to work. How I do this is I align the bottom of the crop plot with the bottom edge of the floor tile. You basically need to fit 2 crop plots on either side within one of the black squares. So try to align them the absolute best that you can. When you have done this to all 4 of the crop plots, you will notice that you have a little bit of extra black on one of the sides, on the edges. Next, make sure that you place down your beehives exactly how I have mine. You need to make sure that you get them as tight together as you possibly can. Remember that in order for you to get the full production of honeycomb, which is 3, you need to have 12 flowers in range. So keep them beehives close. Once all of your beehives have been placed, then you need to delete the 4 crop plots that are in the dead center. You are then going to need to use that spot to place down 2 more beehives, totaling your amount to 12. Crouch underneath the half wall and find the 2 tiles in the dead center. If you need to paint the floor tiles to help you see it, then paint the 2 a different color. I have all of my tiles on my raft reinforced, so it's easier for me to see the edges. Then I'm going to place down the 4 crop plots in those 2 tiles. When you are done, fill them with flowers and water all 4. Not only is this efficient, but it is seagull proof as well. I had to actually wait for the honeycomb to produce 3 separate times before noticing its full yield. And if you guys only pick up 2 honeycomb or even 1 off of your first harvest, then wait a total of 3 harvests before rearranging your beehives if necessary. Number 3, organizing your inventory quickly. This may sound simple, but did you know that if you are accessed in the inventory of a storage box and you press shift and left click on a stack of anything, that it will transfer automatically from the storage box to your inventory? Well, it actually works both ways. And shift clicking it over from my inventory automatically goes into the storage box because I'm accessed in the storage box's inventory. Clicking and holding right mouse button down on an object will only bring over 1 item at a time. If you click and hold right mouse button and use your scroll wheel on your mouse, you can transfer a specific desired amount over between inventories. Number 4, mixing paint while stopped. This is a tip for when you are stopped at an island. If you need to make up a bunch of paint but you're stationary, you will know that normally you need to be moving in order to get those paint mills rotating. Well, there is actually a way to get them mixing while you are stopped, and here's how. When your anchor is dropped down, load up your paint mills with whatever color that you want to mix, and then you need to pull out a paddle. You only need to paddle once in the direction forward, allowing your paint mills to spin. After a few seconds, you will get the finished paint without even moving an inch. This is incredibly useful for people who want to stay at an island for a while but need to do a lot of things. And this idea was developed by Tyrant. So, thanks, man. Number 5, metal detector exploit. This is something that a few people have commented before on my channel. A loaf of bread is one of the first to bring it to my attention. Equip a metal detector and go to an animal island, which normally yields up to 3 digs at the most. Before getting to your dig site, you will have to save the game. This is very important. Save the game. Once you have saved it, you need to pull out your shovel, then dig the spot, and see what you get. If you do not like what you get, simply click escape and click main menu. But here's the thing, when it prompts you to, do not save your game. Make sure that you leave the game without saving at this point. Once you have left, you will be at the main menu. You need to open your world back up and you will notice that you're in the exact same spot before you dug the area. So you can keep re-rolling your digs that you get. However, I should point this out. You will get the same exact type of dig, and there are 4 different types of digs that you can get. The large safe, the medium briefcase, the pile of trashy dirt, and a tiki head. If you reset your game, you will always have the same type of dig, but you will get different resources out of the resets. This actually makes getting the developer paintings a little bit quicker and easier, or some of those cassettes that you don't have a little bit easier to get. Number 6, dead battery usage. This is common knowledge, but if you have dead batteries and you don't have access to the charger yet, please save on to them. You can use dead batteries to craft yourself a metal detector. You can also use dead batteries to craft yourself a headlamp. And again, this is incredibly useful, especially if you don't have access to your charger yet in-game. Number 7. Getting lots of leather fast. On your receiver, type in the number coordinates for Balboa Island. You will then see a blue dot for Balboa Island and the green dots that could be either an animal island or the smaller version of Balboa Island. Go to the different green dots until you find the smaller version of Balboa. This may take you a while. Once you have found it, park your raft there and make sure that you have plenty of weapons. But why is this important? Well, there are only 3 animals right now in Raft from chapters 1 to 2 that respawn. That is the shark, the lurkers, and the bear. If you kill the bear on the island, you need to wait 3 minutes in real time and leave the vicinity of where you found that bear. Come back to it after 3 minutes and it should have respawned. Kill it again and keep doing this over and over again. Not only are you harvesting leather for the armor, you are also getting raw meat that you can cook for yourself and potentially getting a bear head to use for biofuel. You are also working towards your achievement for killing 50 bears quickly as well. Number 8, the best biofuel resource. This tip is purely opinion-based, by the way, but when it comes to biofuel, there are a lot of different things that you can put into the container that will get you fuel. First off, yes, the different heads that you get from killing the creatures will yield a lot of fuel, depending on which one that you use. For example, the mother lode head or the mama bear head is actually the best in the game, but because you only kill her once, it's really not that worth using. The second thing to that is the pufferfish head. But here's the thing, I personally don't like stopping my raft unless it's absolutely necessary, which means I really don't want to swim around to kill a bunch of pufferfish if I can. So what do I do for biofuel? Well, I use goats. If you capture goats, you can milk them every 5 minutes in the game as long as they are fed. I craft up as many buckets that I have as I have goats. In this case, I'm going to be crafting 9 buckets and I have 9 goats. I put all 9 buckets on my hotbar, but I make sure that I have 1 empty space on my hotbar, and you'll see what I mean in a second. Milk all of your goats. 2 buckets of milk and 1 honey yields 1 biofuel, which really isn't that bad. You can see what resources you can put into the biofuel container on the Raft wiki and how many points it will yield. But I'm just telling you that goat's milk is not that bad, because here's the thing, the buckets don't spoil. You can reuse the buckets all the time as long as you're not using them in a recipe. So in my opinion, goat's milk is one of the best that you can use. Number 9, smelt items faster. Again, this might be common knowledge, but don't underestimate the time in Raft. If you have a lot of items to smelt, like titanium, metal, copper, sand, or whatever, you may be impatient and want the ingots faster. One tip is this. When it is getting closer towards the night cycle in game, load all of your smelters with your raw ore or whatever it is that you want to smelt. Make sure that each one of your smelters is loaded with plenty of wood. Then find a bed and sleep the night off. When you wake up, it will be instantaneous and you will have your items smelted. I use this tactic all the time. Number 10, seagull proofing your raft. Yes, I have already done a video dedicated to this concept, but I cannot tell you how important it is in Raft to have crops that are seagull proof. Basically, I will sum it up for you in seconds. If you want to protect your crops from seagulls, then all you need to do is put them in an enclosed building. Make sure that you have a roof, make sure that you have walls. Inside your hut, put your crop plots wherever you want to grow them, but keep your door to that building closed just in case, and then do this. Make sure that you do not have one of these 5 items either on the roof of that building or in proximity of your raft within 8 tiles of that building. They are the shoe, the small crop plot, the medium crop plot, the tree plot, or the grass plot. You cannot put those on the roof of that building where you're trying to grow your crops or in an 8 tile proximity of that building. If you do have any of those items within the proximity like I do right now, you need to get rid of those immediately. And that, guys, is going to do it for my top 10 tips and tricks for you rafters out there. Let me know in the comments below if there was something on this list that you didn't know, and let me know if there's something that you find that's helpful. Until then, thank you very much for watching, and don't forget to support the channel, and I'll see you next time.